Aging Matters on BCTV is supported by the Berks County Area Agency on Aging.
Hello and welcome to Aging Matters. This is a program that is provided by and sponsored by the Berks County Area Agency on Aging. My name is Ann Barlet and I'm the Public Advocacy and Outreach Manager for the agency. Our program this evening is on the RSVP program. And I'm excited to have our guest with us. Kathleen Mitchell is here. She is with Diakon Community Services. She's the program manager for the RSVP program and the Volunteers Serving Seniors, had to say that slowly, program. So welcome, Kathy. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Anne. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited to learn a little bit more about the RSVP program, since we kind of know RSVP in another way, which is kind of responding to an invitation to something. And I think that's interesting because I think it is almost applied in that it sounds like it could be an invitation for us to participate in something, and I know we'll find out more about that. But first, I mentioned that you are with Diakon Community Services, so let's just start with what is Diakon. Tell us a little bit about Diakon.
I'd love to tell you. Thank you very much. So I'm with Diakon Lutheran Social Ministries, and they're a rather well-known organization in Pennsylvania and Maryland for their senior living services and communities. However, in 2014, they established the Diakon Child, Family, and Community Ministries, which includes adoption, foster care programs, youth programs, counseling programs, and community services, which is where I come under. So in Schuylkill County, our neighboring county, Diakon runs programs for seniors such as the senior centers, health and wellness programs, the Apprise Medicare counseling program, delivering Meals on Wheels, and all of that sort of thing. So I'm going to tell you also that a lot of people ask me how did they get their name or what does it mean? Mm-hmm. And I like to tell them that it comes from the Greek word diakonos, which means someone chosen by their church to minister to other people. So it translates to service, which is perfect because their mission is to love your neighbor through acts of service. So it all fits together.
Well, I know that since you mentioned that Diakon is in Schuylkill County as well as here in Berks, and some of the programs that they have, it's just, I'm going to clarify because the Berks County Area Agency on Aging in Berks County, those same programs exist and occur, and what happens traditionally is it's funneled from the financial piece is funneled to our agency, and in some cases some of those programs are contracted out to another agency. So they're set up a little different in the two counties, but Diakon specifically is involved, as you said, in service, in community service.
Absolutely.
And so they have not only the service to typically the seniors in terms of the living opportunities on their campus, which is at the Lutheran Home in Topton, right?
That is one of them. Lutheran. That is one of the large ones, absolutely.
In Berks County.
In Berks County.
Okay, so they have those things, but then some other opportunities and programs for community service that are programs that Diakon manages and operates here in Berks County, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So talk a little bit about anything else about Diakon that you want to say before we actually move to the RSVP program?
I think we could move to the RSVP program. About 2 years ago, Diakon was awarded the grant from the Corporation for National and Community Services, the federal agency that oversees and helps to fund programs like this. And they wanted them to be awarded to counties where there was never an RSVP program before, and they have large aging populations, and they are rural.
Yeah, we did not have an RSVP program, and I guess I'll ask, what does RSVP, does it stand for something, or just catchy letter?
And it's not répondez s'il vous plaît to a wedding invitation.
Okay.
However, it is always an open invitation to volunteer with us. So RSVP in this case stands for the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program.
Okay, should I put this, we have a slide.
Sure, you can
All
put
right,
the,
we can put
the
that up.
brochure, the
That's
cover
on our
of the
computer.
brochure.
Well, we wanted
oh, we could do
might
that
as well
one.
just- Yeah, the first one right
Sure.
there.
There you
It's
go.
the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program. So RSVP. Yay! Now I
That's
got
what
it.
it stands for.
And since we have that up, this program then, because I see Berks, Pike, and Wayne counties, then let me make sure I get this. So Diakon
Yes.
Community Services has this grant that you said that they got in 2014.
Correct.
For the RSVP program that I'm going to assume they manage in Berks, Pike, and Wayne counties.
Yes.
Okay.
Except for the 2014.
Oh, no.
That was when the Community Services was established. But
Okay.
about 2 years ago, they began the grant. And people
Okay.
look at me funny when I say Berks, Pike, and Wayne because they're not close to
Yes,
each other.
you would think they would be,
Exactly.
yes.
But they meet those criteria.
So the
And
criteria that was chosen, tell us again, that was.
so they wanted them to not have previously had a program with
Okay.
RSVP and have an aging population because that's going to be our focus and are rural.
Okay.
So we're
Okay.
looking at serving clients that are in those two especially areas that we can focus on. So Diakon was already managing the Apprise Medicare program in Pike County.
Okay. Oh,
And
all
so
right.
they have
Okay.
connections in other counties. So that was kind of a natural, but when they looked at the census and the statistics, they had the statistics for the very rural population and the very large aging population. Now, Pennsylvania, as most of you certainly know, is the fourth largest aging state in the country. And I believe in Berks County, the over 65 population is about 17% at this
Okay.
point. So when we look at all those things, the RSVP program was established to provide engaging opportunities for 55 and older and folks who are retired, but who want to stay involved in their community and want to do something, but are also helping to meet some of the critical social needs of that community.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
on a national level, the RSVP program does things like education, economic development, disaster recovery, environmental stewardship, and supporting veterans and military families. However, in these three counties, the focus is what they call healthy futures. So we work towards supporting, our mission and goal is supporting seniors to live independently as long as possible and to age in place with dignity. So to that end, we look at services such as delivering Meals on Wheels.
So let me understand though. Let's go back. So we're looking at the program is for, as you said, individuals who are 55 and older, retired, who want to volunteer their
Yes.
time, okay, to provide some sort of service back to the community. And in order to do so, the idea is to help those other folks. They're volunteering to help other individuals stay better supported, I guess, in where they are in their community currently.
Absolutely.
So I think what we've seen traditionally, though, because this sounds like this is it's going to be one coordinated program where a lot of folks from Berks County, all over Berks County, could call you to talk about those opportunities. I think traditionally, since we haven't had the RSVP program here, I think what has happened, and I'm sure you've been in this field long enough to see that people, after they retire, go, now I do want to do something. What do you suppose that is? And who do I
You're
call?
absolutely right.
And I think sometimes they're not sure where to start. They've heard of some programs, whether they want to do them or they don't.
Sure.
I think what happens then, each entity kind of has some volunteers. And I'm not sure how they got them, but I think another opportunity then I see is what you're saying is this, that we could call Diakon for the RSVP program if I'm thinking about volunteering somewhere, right?
Exactly.
So locally here then, what are the kinds of opportunities that somebody might be able to help in? What areas of volunteer service do you have?
I'm
Or
glad
what's
you
available?
asked. And to clarify that, let me also explain that in Berks County, because you already have those services set up through Berks Encore, as we know, has a very large volunteer organization. They provide a lot of the services that I mentioned, the delivering Meals on Wheels, the senior centers, the Apprise Medicare counseling program. So RSVP is not ever looking to take anyone's volunteers away.
Okay.
We are looking to recruit volunteers for you.
Oh, okay.
So what they would be called in this case would be a station. So I would orient the volunteer, help them figure out what they want to do, and then turn them over to be trained by, let's say they're going to deliver Meals on Wheels. I don't know what the responsibilities are. So then I would turn them over to the station supervisor, and they would train them in what they wanted them to do and what their responsibilities are. So that's how that works. But I'm not, like I said, sometimes I think people have the misimpression that we're going to take volunteers away. We're only looking to recruit volunteers.
Okay.
So we partner and we can work together to recruit volunteers to do any of these services.
So it sounds like it's twofold for you. You've got to make those connections with the variety of agencies and organizations here in Berks that need volunteers that are looking and may not have enough, may have not been have the opportunities for whatever reason, financial means to be able to do a big recruitment opportunity to recruit for their own place, but need volunteers. So you could kind of work with those, understand what is out there, what are the organizations need as far as volunteers. But then you've got the other piece of recruiting those volunteers, which I hope we can assist with tonight with the show. And to be able to look at what, I guess, their skills and what they want to do and kind of see where that fits, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned that because in this case, yes, there are plenty of opportunities out there. And this is a great opportunity for us to get the word out because we are new in Berks County. So,
How long has it been here now in Berks County?
Well, 2 years from the grant, but officially
Okay.
it took us almost a year to get up and running because
Okay.
we had to start from the ground
Sure.
up. So we had to create all the documents and so forth and then create the partnerships and build the relationships. So it's been slow starting, but we're off to a great start. We now have an active advisory council from the 3 counties with participants from the 3 counties, and it's going really well. But to go back to your original point, RSVP gives folks the opportunity to utilize the skills and abilities that they learned throughout their work life. Or sometimes they want to develop new ones. Maybe they've worked in a bank and they don't want anything to do with money or numbers. They want to deliver Meals on Wheels. In one of our videos, there's a cardiologist who's delivering Meals on Wheels, and he actually says in the video that this gives me so much joy, that I get so much comfort and joy out of doing this. Which is pretty remarkable. But as I said, we try to help you figure out what you want to do. And do you want to learn a new skill, or do you want to do what you've done before? And that's when I then partner with one of the other agencies or stations, or hopefully if they want to drive folks, we'll talk about that in a minute, then there's programs
Another
that
program.
Diakon runs directly. So
if I'm out there listening and I'm thinking I want to do something, whether I've been retired, I'm going to retire and I don't want to lose some of the skills I have, or I'm thinking, I've been working in this arena, I'd like to try a different arena. Let's first put up how to reach you. And then let's talk about what the process might be, okay? So I think
Sounds
I
good.
have the graphic for that, right? I have these 2 phone numbers. If you could tell us which of the numbers, I guess they could call the 610-682-1351, and that is
That's
your
my direct
number.
line.
Okay. And then the 610-682-1412.
and that would be Pam, our transportation service coordinator.
Okay.
She helps create match volunteers with some of their needs, and I'll help you understand that in a second.
Okay.
Diakon has a program that we run helping to provide transportation for seniors over 60 who can no longer drive,
Okay.
either temporarily or permanently.
All right.
So, but either way,
So we can call this number.
exactly.
And then
So-
if I call, so now what's the process for the volunteer who calls? I'm calling you, Kathy, saying, okay, I'd really like to see what might be opportunities out there. Do I have to fill out applications to participate?
Of course.
You know that I know that in some arenas, I don't know where you've got matches, but I know in some organizations I require some screenings, maybe a criminal history check or something, depending on where
Yes.
the volunteer opportunity would be. So step me through a little bit of the process. I make
Sure.
the call to you, and I guess I
There
meet
is an
with you.
enrollment form, of course.
Okay.
Everything starts with the application or the enrollment
Okay.
form, and it's pretty basic, but it's also a little bit comprehensive. So it covers a lot, and we do a basic volunteer background check
Okay.
because we are working with a vulnerable population. And so that's the initial step. And then I meet with the volunteer and we talk about, now sometimes a volunteer comes to me and they know exactly what they want to
Okay,
do.
okay.
And that's easy. Then we go right to that.
Prepare 'em.
When they don't, then we have discussions. I had a particular woman from Berks who called me and was kind of like, I want to do something, I'm not sure what. She said, my husband's really quiet, so I want to do something with people, but I'm not sure
Okay.
what. So we talked, and I actually had her come into the office and work with me a little bit, do some clerical things, and then we talked some more. And we both came to an agreement that she would be a great friendly visitor.
Oh,
so I connected with Rita Phillips at Berks Encore.
Okay.
And she's been doing this now for several months, and it's worked out beautifully for both the client and the volunteer. So
Okay.
that's kind of how the process works. If you know exactly what you want to do, then it's a lot easier. Then I meet with you and we do a little bit of an orientation. If you want to do something with Diakon, for example, our volunteer serving
Okay.
senior program, then I will be doing your orientation. We will meet at a separate time. It's about an hour process. We go over all the rules. We talk about things. This is specifically our program called Volunteer Serving Seniors, where we recruit volunteers to drive folks to their medical appointments and sometimes for groceries who can no longer drive. So we're spoiled right now. If we all drive, we jump in the car and go where we have to go. In later years, you may have some issues, health related or injuries or whatever, where you can't drive. And especially in these rural areas, you may not have access to public transportation.
Right, or it's limited. It's very limited.
It's very limited.
Yeah.
And so we have volunteers, a core group of volunteers, very dedicated folks. And again, the reason there's two numbers is if someone wanted to be a client, they would be calling the number
okay.
for Pam.
Okay.
And we work together very closely, so I can transfer my information to her and vice versa. But once the client is registered with us, then they would call in to Pam and give us the date and time of their appointment. And then we go down the list looking for a volunteer to take them on that day. So it's a great opportunity to dabble in volunteering because you're not really confined or committed to a particular day and time every week.
Yes, this day on
So
this
if
week.
you can't do it one week, you just say, I can't do it, and then we move down the list and go from there.
So without confusing, that was specifically the volunteers serving seniors.
Correct.
That particular program is where volunteers that might come through RSVP, maybe through Diakon also, would be specifically wanting to do that program, which is managed by Diakon, which is the transportation piece.
Exactly.
That's one opportunity.
One
If you want to
opportunity.
do that with that flexibility because you're not assigned a specific.
right.
If so now as a volunteer, I've called you, I've met with you, I've filled out the enrollment form, we kind of know where I am and you've connected me with that. Is there a required meeting, a follow-up after I'm assigned there? Do I connect back to Diakon with you every 6 months, every month, once a year? Is there something?
Oh, we
the
definitely
connection
stay
there?
in touch. We have a timesheet that
Oh,
you'll
okay.
record and get
the
back to
hours,
me
for
once
the
a month.
volunteer hours?
So that'll tell us how many folks you served, if you're serving more
okay.
than one, how many hours you served. And then if you're in another station, that supervisor, always has to be a station supervisor. They will sign off on it and get it back to me. So then we record all those hours. So
see.
that way we
Okay.
can keep track of how many folks we're serving and how many hours and how many miles people are driving and all
my.
that good fun
okay.
stuff.
For the report,
Yes.
right?
For the report, yes.
For the grant, which is understandable that we have to,
Absolutely.
and I also think
Absolutely.
I think to reward individuals for those
Sure.
gifts that they're giving in time and mileage and
absolutely.
effort. So we talked a little bit about some volunteer things. You had mentioned Meals on Wheels, and we'll get back to the again the volunteers serving seniors, which is a separate program for transportation and driving. Give me a couple of other opportunities volunteer wise that might be out there that's on your list that people might be doing.
So it's beneficial for RSVP to be partnered with other agencies for providing the opportunities that may not be what a person wants to do. So of course we have to meet what the grant says. We have to do a certain amount of hours in that focus area. But that doesn't mean we can't do something otherwise that the community needs, and it's considered other community priorities. So we're partnered with the American Red Cross, for example. So I met with retired teachers recently, and for folks who still want to be involved with children, they have a program called the Pillowcase Project, where you work with 3rd to 5th grade, I think it is. You could be a blood ambassador, which has nothing to do with blood. You just direct people to the table and serve them cookies and all that good fun stuff. We're also partnered with the Junior Achievement folks of Southeastern Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So that's a program for a little older kids, late middle to early high school. And that's teaching some financial responsibility and some practical skills for after school, like goal setting and looking for a job.
Okay.
And so those are the kind of things. I'm also recently partnered with the Colebrookdale Railroad. So if you have a penchant for working on the railroad or the historical aspect or just the revitalization of the community, that's another opportunity. So we're
that is
also
such a
looking for
diversity.
things, right, to look for so that people have different opportunities to try things.
All right, well, that sounds good. So let's quickly, we have those opportunities. I think also you said earlier that there was somebody you had come in and do some clerical work. So
Yes.
So that's an opportunity. Was that at Diakon
That was
itself?
with me at Diakon, absolutely. And I had put, we have a Facebook page, and I had put an ad on the Facebook page looking for people to answer the phone for a while because we had a position that was vacant, and I was trying to fill it and keep my job. So it was a little, so I was looking for someone to help clerically. And we didn't have any response, unfortunately. But sometimes the stations might be looking for someone too. And it can be one-time opportunity, like an expo or an event that someone needs. Sometimes the state representatives, if they're having an expo or an event, they'll ask us, can we provide someone for just that day? But sometimes it is a regularly occurring, like Meals on Wheels. So it just depends on what the need is and what the volunteer can do. Because again, to be active member of RSVP, they require 24 hours a year, which is really only 2 hours a month, so it's nothing. But volunteers can put in as little time as they want or as much as they want. It's completely up to them
Good.
to do that.
And so let's talk about, so we mentioned about the hours that are kept and the miles that they put and things like that. Benefits, this is volunteer, so what other benefits might there be for anybody?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. Okay, so for some people, it's just the prestige of belonging to a national organization. The RSVP program right now has almost 300,000 folks serving across the country in different applications. So that's one thing. But also there's several layers of excess insurance, including volunteer liability, which is kind of important if you're volunteering. So that gives volunteers a sense of comfort and peace when they're volunteering. And RSVP provides an annual recognition event. So at least once a year, there'll be some sort of luncheon or banquet or something to recognize and thank the volunteers for the dedicated service. But I think the best blessing of all, the best benefit of all, is something we've had more and more scientific evidence lately of, and that is the health benefits to the volunteers. We've always known how much the clients benefit from these services.
Sure.
But in the last several years, the Senior Corps folks have been doing more research and a longitudinal study on the volunteers. And they've found that, not really surprisingly, but they've proven that folks who volunteer are living longer and they're living happier and healthier lives. So I guess that's probably the best benefit of all.
So there you go. What more could we want, right?
Absolutely.
I think I'm going to put, still have the number. Let's put the numbers back up again real quick to let folks know that this wonderful RSVP program that is available through Kathleen Mitchell, the program manager at Diakon Community Services. The contact her. It's as simple as dialing 610-682-1351 and just kind of see what's out there, or call her and say, this is what I've been thinking of doing as a volunteer, and you can have a discussion, put the pieces together, make that fit and work for everybody, and know that certainly you'll find many rewards as a volunteer, as well as those clients that have accepted that individual and with help, which everybody needs. Without that, I think we've covered the program. I do hope that it's very successful. I look forward to an opportunity someday when I can retire that maybe I can be a volunteer.
I'll hold you to that.
Okay. Oh no, and it's on live TV.
It's on
It's on TV. Well, again, thank you so much for being here, Kathy, and sharing
You're
this
welcome.
wonderful information. Please
Thank you
give
for
Kathy
having
Mitchell
us.
a call at Diakon
Please
Community
call.
Services, and think about the opportunities you can get through the RSVP program. So thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next month.
Aging Matters on BCTV is supported by the Berks County Area Agency on Aging.